listener production.
Hey there. Just a quick flag before we get into this ep. We will be discussing drug use and strong physical violence.
Hey, Antoinette Lattouf here with the weekend briefing. Today's interview is a bit of a personal one for me because I know ex-con turned internationally acclaimed painter Nathan Paddison. Well, I've known him since I was a child. We went to school together. He was my first crush in kindergarten, but we lost contact when he started to get into trouble with the law as a teenager. He's since spent years behind bars for a bunch of crimes, some small, others more significant violent crimes, and he says art has saved him from being a career criminal. I think he has a fascinating story. We reconnected in the last year. I went and saw his latest exhibition, and it was good to see him getting his life back on track. And on the one hand, you can't downplay some of his crimes, which we're going to get into, including a charge of domestic violence. But rarely do we hear about how criminals try to turn their lives around, given recidivism is so high, and the most likely route is to keep committing crimes. Nathan also opens up about what leads young men to go down criminal and violent routes and, crucially, how to break that cycle. Later in the show, we'll bring you the weekend list. That is where my fabulous producer Helen Smith and I unpack popular culture, food trends, things to read and watch and everything in between. But first, here's a very honest and very raw chat with artist Nathan Paddison. Nathan Paddison, welcome to the weekend briefing.
Thank you, Antoinette. How are you?
I'm well, and I'm so excited to dive into this chat because you and I actually go way back to when we were both children. I knew you when you were 5. Obviously, the audience doesn't know you, so can you describe what you were like as a child? Your personality, your passions, things you were good at, things you weren't so good at?
I think I wasn't good at school. Like, I was always in trouble. I was very misbehaved. I guess I was always on, the line at Guildford West.
The detention line.
Yeah, the detention line, out baking in the sun there. I was just troublesome, I guess. And just like mischievous, like as a kid.
And what about positive things?
Positive. I was good at, I think I was fun and funny for everyone, but I was just a bit of a clown. I was pretty smart, but like when it come to class and that, I did well in primary school.
That's what I remember. I remember you being smart and creative. I remember you sort of drooling on your books when we were meant to be doing work. I do remember the detention line, but I don't remember you as troublesome. It's interesting because you look back, obviously it's your childhood and your memories, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah,
I just remember always being on detention in primary school,
And did you know when you were younger what you wanted to be when you grew up? Did you have any idea?
Oh, so it's kind of weird. So when I was younger, I always, just because the area we're in, I always thought I was going to go to jail because everyone went to jail. But I also told everyone I was going to be famous. I thought I was going to be an actor or something. I was like, I'm going to be an actor, like that's what I wanted to be.
Well, explain the area that we grew up in and the sorts of people that you say ended up in jail around us.
So like Maryland's Guildford area.
Western Sydney.
Yeah. So we went to Guildford West and Maryland High. Just a lot of drugs and crime and bikies and all that stuff around there. So it's kind of the people that, I don't know, I guess I hung around a lot. And then they're older brothers and all that. So they're the people that I sort of looked up to.
So when in primary school you get up in front of people and you say, when I grow up, I want to be a insert thing. I knew that I wanted to be a journalist from a really young age, probably from 7 or 8. You wanted to be famous, what I'm hearing, but you knew you'd end up in jail?
Yeah, I just thought I would, I just thought because I just felt like I was, I don't know, because I was always on detention. I thought maybe I was just a bad kid. Even though my brother and sisters weren't, and like no one in my family was, I don't know. Maybe because I was always on detention, I thought, maybe that's just my path, or because I see a lot of people in the area on that path, But I wanted to be an actor of everything,
So how did you then end up getting on that path and in jail?
Just bad influences, I guess. Like when I was young, I just thought, like, I don't know what I thought. I thought like, I I didn't think clearly. Anyone that told me anything, what I could do or couldn't do, like I'd do the opposite, you know. So, and then I was a bit of a follower. I wasn't good with communication with people and that. So whatever anyone else was doing, I'd just follow them and go along and yeah.
So on the one hand, you didn't listen to people who told you what to do, but then you were a follower.
Yeah.
So are you suggesting like authority figures, like teachers and things like
and
that?
And parents and teachers and yeah. But friends, I'd never disagree with them, you know. So I'd always follow along and I just hung around the wrong people, I guess.
So you're mixing with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
And then before we finish year 10, you get expelled. What happened? What were you doing?
I was just fighting at school. Always fighting. I remember I came back from a suspension and I don't want to say his name, but I got back and everyone's like, oh, he wrote everyone's name in a book and was saying what he thinks about him. And this was my first day back off a 21-day suspension, like the final suspension. And I said, oh, yeah. I said, what do you think of me? He's like, oh, you're a dickhead, you know. I was like, oh, okay. Well, he's gone and told Moody Tajor. So then Moody's come to me and goes, bro, he's telling me he's called you a dickhead and you didn't do anything and all this shit. So after school, me and Moody like waited behind the tree, behind the bush. And when he come out, I jumped out and bashed him. And so by the time I got home, I was expelled. There was a message on the phone from my mum, you ring me now, Nathan? Like, yeah.
You're laughing, but you bashed a guy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, has violence...
I didn't really hurt him, but it was like, yeah, it was just like what happened as a kid.
Did you have a lot of violence around you growing up? Because you ended up going to jail for violent crimes.
Yeah. I guess I just learnt that off everyone around me, yeah.
What sorts of things?
Just fighting, really, yeah. Just everyone fought. But like before I went to jail, and around that time I joined with the Asian gangs that were around a lot back then. Yeah. And that was like, you know, there was a lot of, like the stuff that's coming out now, like machetes and axes and knives and, yeah.
So when you say that there was a lot of violence around you, was there violence at home? Was there violence?
A little bit, yeah. But just more so the people I hung around. Like they influenced me more than anything, I think.
So you get expelled, and the last I hear, and the last contact I had with you was probably around that time, 15, 16, and then I hear you've joined a gang. Yeah. What did you do?
So we did a lot of fraud, like bank fraud and like cashing checks. I was flying around with them. I got done. That's when I first went to jail. I got done in Queensland, cashing checks in Brisbane. I went to jail up there only for a few days, but yeah. Then I come back down. We had like fights with other gangs and like the bosses and that, they'd extort shops and stuff. So if shops weren't paying, we'd have to go and smash the shops. And, you know, we didn't really get anything out of it, but it was just like proving ourselves to people that didn't really matter, I guess.
How old are you at this stage?
18. It's like between 16 and 19, I was involved with all of that.
Were you making money? Because you were saying that you were doing things and not necessarily getting paid.
Like with the fraud, I was making a lot of money. But the other stuff was just like they just send you in and you didn't really get anything for it.
What's a lot of money for a 17-year-old?
So when I was 7, I got around 560,000 in 6 weeks.
From fraud?
Yeah. Like I had everybody. I had like 10 boys with me flying everywhere and just going out all night. And I had heaps of fake IDs and had everything, yeah.
So at this stage, are you the leader of this operation?
No, but I did have some boys, but I was still like under other people, like, yeah.
Okay, and so from there, how did you end up in jail? What did you do?
So I got caught with the court cashing a check first.
Right.
And it was pretty weird. It's like the detectives were already there. Because I had a thing like if they jump on the phone, I'd walk straight out. I'd have my phone on like the old Nokia 5110s on the ringtone bit, so I'd just have to press down and it would ring. And then I'd pretend I couldn't hear and I'd walk out. But yeah, they just they were right there as soon as I give them the check pretty much. Turned around, they're like, mate, come with us. I was like, what? Yeah.
So that's your first time in jail?
Yeah. And
if you could just give me a summary of what happened or the next time.
It was pretty scary. So the next time was more important because it's like that time was only a few days and I got bail and they let me out. So the first time I went was in New South Wales. We went to a party. Someone jumped my friend and he rang us up and said, I've just been jumped by these guys, rah, rah. So we went there. There was about 2 carloads of us. And I've walked around the back and I was like, who is it, you know? And he goes, them guys on the couch there. So I rang the boys out the front and said, just run around, these guys sitting on the couch, it's them. and they've run around and jumped them, and I jumped in and all that. And the boys left, but I said, I'm not going to leave because they might come back. So then I've stayed, and as I was walking back in, the police were out the front. Because I was drunk, I just kept walking and they just grabbed me, and I got done for all of it, yeah. I got 3 years on the bottom, 4 years, 9 months on top.
Is that when you spent 13 months in solitary confinement?
No, that was the next time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did spend a bit in Segro there because I was always fighting and stuff like that. But I got out for about a month to 6 weeks, and I did exactly the same thing pretty much. I went to a party, had a big fight, and then I got arrested and charged with everything that happened. Then about halfway through that sentence, I kept mucking up and getting tipped from all the jails, and they're like, oh, we don't want him here, we don't want him here, we don't want him here, and keep sending me back, I got back to Lithgow and they said, oh, we're keeping you in segregation until your time's finished, which was about 14 months to go. I was like, oh, yeah, sweet, whatever. I'd already had 2 warnings to go to the gang unit.
Your response to solitary confinement was, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so I was used to it. I'd just been in Segro for 3 months when they said that and just got sent back there. So then I said, oh, all right, sweet. A couple of days later, the gang unit people come and see me again and gave me my 3rd warning. So once you've had 3 warnings, they can send you there. I got sent back to the wing about a week later. They come and said, oh, we're going to send you back to the wing. And I was like, no, I don't want to go, because I thought you're just going to make something up and bring me back, because all my warnings had been for allegations. So then I was like, no, I don't want to go. And they're like, no, you're going. I was like, oh, far out, So went over to the wing. Not even a week later, I don't think. They've called me to the clinic, and I was like, no, I don't need to go to the clinic. And he goes, oh, they're calling you. I said, well, bring them back. Tell them I don't need to go. There's nothing wrong with me. He goes, no, they're calling you. You got to go. I was like, oh, shit. I knew they were coming to grab me, trying to separate me. So I grabbed my Discman, and I was like, all right. And I walked out, and I seen the squad running across. So the squad's like the ones in the vest and that run into the cells. They were running over to the clinic, and I just knew they were for me. And I was like, Chief. And I started waving to them. And they've looked at me and ran over to me, and I said, what's going on? And they go, I don't know, the governor just told us to grab you. I was like, oh, here we go. I said, can I just have my Discman, please? Because I thought I was going straight to the gang unit. He goes, yeah, mate, you can hold that. I was like, all right, sweet. Went over. I was in Segro for a week or so, and they said, oh, we're going to send you over to the gang unit. And they've got a certain amount of beds in there they had, because they'd have you 2 to 3 cells apart. So there'd be 8 to 10 people there or something. So this was the time, 2009, Bass Hamsey got caught with the phone. They sent him back to the Supermax, and then I took his bed. So I just waited. As soon as he left, I went in there. And then I had 13 months to go. They come in, took all my stuff, my clothes, my toiletries, everything, and just gave me jail greens, jail undies, jail socks, and that was it. Yeah, that's all I had till I got out.
And so, just so I understand, is solitary confinement, was it that room, or you moved to a different room?
Oh, so I was moved over to the gang unit, which is the same cell, but they take your TV, everything. You've got nothing.
So it's not like it is in the movies. When I see solitary confinement in the movies, you're in this room with a little window that you can maybe get a bit of air, a light from outside.
It's in the gang unit, it sort of is. In segregation, you can get a TV and all that, and you can watch your TV, and you've got a little yard on the back.
Okay, so this means that you have nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
And can you hear anybody else?
Or you can call out to people.
Okay.
There's a few people in each side. No, you don't mix with anyone. If you behave and do the course, you can mix with one person. After a few months, you can get a TV, but then they take it back if you muck up.
Right.
So I just refused.
Were you allowed out to exercise or to do anything?
I'm in the backyard. And then once a week I'd get the front, which is in front of all the cells and stuff. It's just an empty room.
But no interactions with anybody else? No.
Nah, not unless, I did talk to them sort of, when I got, sometimes you'd yell out to them and that, but otherwise, yeah, I was just in my head the whole time.
What is it like being in your head for 13 months?
I don't know. It's back then, before that, I would have been horrified to do that. But now I even at home when I paint that, it's all silent. Ever since then, I've been comfortable with silence. It's I got used to it really quickly, and it's just, I don't know.
You also now prefer to be alone, don't you? As in, you don't like crowds and cities and things like that.
Yeah, I do like to come, but I don't know, I just like to be by myself. Yeah.
So in total, how long have you spent in jail?
Almost 13 years.
Do you believe you ever recover from being incarcerated or come out a better person?
No, I think I come out a better person last. I think the other times I didn't until I matured and until I had something that I could focus on, and that was a more motivational for me sort of thing to focus on that life, like art. When I found art, I just loved it so much that I was willing to give that life up for it.
How did you find art? Because it's interesting you use those words because I have distinct memories of us as children and you being a good drawer.
Yeah. And I hated painting, but because I couldn't control it wasn't like a pencil, that I could control and stuff.
So tell me how the moment you decided that you'd found art or that was your thing.
They'd locked me in for 4 months or something without a telly. And then I was like, I'm going to draw. I started drawing again, which I hadn't done for a long time. They sent me to Goulburn. I got stabbed in the back 9 times.
Why did you get stabbed 9 times?
I just drama with other people. And then they put me in the yard. I was like, yeah, put me in that yard. Because they sort of threatened me at Silverwater saying, if you don't stop mucking up and shit, we're gonna send you to Goulburn. They're gonna stab you. I said, fucking send me then. And they sent me. So I said, yeah, put me in that yard. Because I was like, I just had these big pride issues, So I was like, I'm going in that yard. And then they got me. But I come back to Silverwater because I had court. When I got back, they take your pencils and pens there because of all graffiti at Silverwater and stuff. So when I got back, I had no pencils and stuff again. I had heaps of drugs and stuff on me, and I knew I was going to be up all night and all this over the next few days. So I was like, there was an Aboriginal artist painting the office, like doing a mural for the officers and that, or just for the jail, I guess. And I asked him for some paint, and he's like, oh, yeah, sweet. And I was thinking, I didn't know what to do with it, but I just thought I'll get it and see what happens. There's like a notice board in the cell. I've actually got a photo of it somewhere because
Are you on drugs at the time?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
What were you using?
Ice, bute, and just cigarettes, I guess I just had, yeah. And then, so I got the notice board. I didn't know how to use the brush, and I just knew that he'd done dot painting. So I flipped the brush around and used the back end of the brush. I thought I'm just going to do dots because I don't know how to use the brush.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have control of it. So I thought, imagine doing like Aboriginal art, like dots, but did something different. So I did a Viking. And I just remember I got green first because I love green. Green's my favourite colour. And I just put the green dot on there and I was like, oh shit, like the colour, it's like it just sucked me in. I was just like, oh, this is awesome, And I just did the whole thing. And when I look back at it now, I'm like, oh, that's pretty terrible, But there's something about it.
The
just
artwork is
in.
pretty terrible.
Yeah. It's just like a Viking in dots. And then I did another one and another one. But each time I'd try something new. Like I'd start to use the paintbrush. I'd start to do the lines on the outside. I'd start to, colour things in with the paintbrush. And I started teaching myself day by day. And I just got painted. And since that day, from the whole time I was in, I'd only been in, I think I got 2.5 years that time. I'd only been in for around 6 months. So I still had 2 years to go. Every single night I painted, every single night, compulsively. Yeah, if I had wing access, I'd paint in the day. And I knew people were thinking I'd lost my mind because I'd just been stabbed. Everyone's thinking, oh shit, Nathan's going to get these guys back, all this shit. And I'm just over here painting.
Well, based on your violent track record, that is probably what you would have done.
Yeah. And I wanted to, and, I had this thing, but then I was just like, fuck, I can just, like people say, you can beat them with success, I thought I'm going to be so famous. These guys are going to be rotting in jail and I'm going to be on TV and you're just going to watch me there, It's going to watch me there with everything. Yeah.
And so how much did your addiction and your art go hand in hand, and have you been able to separate the two?
Oh, yeah, now I'm all right. Back then, I still had that ice addiction and I had heaps of ice and all that, and it's like art took me away from that, and I didn't want that anymore. I wanted to be an artist. I didn't want drugs. I wanted to be an artist. It's weird because I was in that zone when I actually found it, and it probably enhanced what I was feeling about the art. But then it's sort of just you don't have ice all the time in jail, It's just when you bring it in and stuff. I got caught with the phone a few weeks later, and then I went to Segro, had nothing, and so I sort of got off it, but I still had art, and then I just only cared about the art. I didn't want to get on. I didn't want to get more time. I didn't want any of that, I just wanted to focus on art. And I sort of wanted everyone to know that too, because I knew they'd laugh at me and I knew they'd think I'd lost the plot, but then I thought the more they do that, the more I know myself. Like when people doubt me, that's when I'm like, I'm going to fucking get it, you know? Sorry, I'm going to get it, yeah.
What did you do with the artwork you made in jail? Where did it go?
I've got it all. Yeah, I've still got it all.
Have you sold any of it?
I sold a couple of them, yeah. But I don't really put them up for sale. They're just like, they're not as good as my newer ones, but if somebody asks me, I'll show them some. Or, yeah, there's a lot of sort of like warped faces and stuff. Like, yeah, I guess it's just the people I was surrounded by in there.
How would you describe your art and its style?
Like a kid, like a big kid. It's like I got reborn as a kid and I just like paint like a kid now. Like when I first started, I didn't like that. I was like, oh, anyone could do that. But then I sort of taught myself a lot of styles and I came back to that and sort of just let go of every style. Now I just paint what I feel and it comes out like, it just comes out like a kid. Like I feel like how I felt like when I was a kid. Yeah.
How have others described your art?
Oh, like happy. Like, yeah, they just like it's happy art. Like it makes them feel good. Like especially in person, it's so different in person to seeing it on a screen. I know when I do exhibitions or art fairs, people come in, they've got a big smile on their face. They're like, oh my God, I love it. It feels so, like they actually feel it jump off the canvas. Yeah.
From the time you came out of jail to you started exhibiting all overseas, talk me through how quickly that blew up. Because it seems that you got out of jail and then all of a sudden you were exhibiting in countless galleries and selling your art for thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. It happened in I think I got with my first gallery after about 18 months from starting selling to 18 months. But then within 12 months of that, I had galleries all over the world, like 12, 13 galleries. They're all around the world in different countries. The prices just went straight up. And people told me, like, at first I was like, I didn't know anyone in the art world. I didn't know anyone that did art. I didn't know what to do. So I just Googled everything. I just asked Google, like, where do I exhibit? Like, how do I find galleries? Yeah. And I emailed probably 1,000 galleries. I used to, like, bulk email them and just search galleries and no one would reply to me. And it's, I think because then I was looking at other art and trying to paint like it and thinking, oh, like, this is what people like. But then I was like, I got so sick of doing that. I was just like, oh, F this, you know?
Yeah.
And I just started doing what I want. And I think I did a big pink tiger at first and then like a unicorn and then...
Well, I see there's also Tupac and designer labels and all sorts of things.
A lot of it has
artwork.
A lot of humour in it.
Yeah.
So the horse is like, imagine like a crackhead trying to sell a horse as a unicorn and I put the strap on. That's why it's got the strap on it.
Yeah.
It's like a joke. The 2-pack, there's two 2-packs, or there's one pack, you know, I do it like that. And yeah, the pink tiger and the pink dinosaur, it's like, at first I did them and I didn't know why I was doing them, but then after a while I'm like, oh, these are like self-portraits and they're also like, don't judge a book by its cover. Like people would think of a T-Rex as like, you know, vicious and mean and stuff and they'd look at it like that on the outside, but it can also be, you know, friendly and loving and look after its children and all that stuff, yeah.
What's your biggest market in terms of sales?
Like Korea and Taiwan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're my two biggest easily.
How have you been received in the art world, given, you know, you've got a lot of tattoos, you don't look or speak like someone who's traditionally an artist.
Yeah.
Have you felt welcomed or have you felt judged in the art scene?
Oh, a bit of both. So I know that people that paint like me or paint colourful, happy stuff, there's a lot of artists I followed at the start and I've actually done art swaps with them now and like they're all really supportive. When I started painting, I didn't put a photo of me up and I didn't tell my story to anyone because I didn't want to be judged like that and I thought, oh, people are just going to judge me. So I just put my art up and no one had a clue who painted it, you know. Then I got into a few art prizes and when I went there, people were like, oh, you painted that? Like, you know, they'd look shocked. They'd be like, wow, I thought like, you know, like, someone that looked like a hippie or something would paint that, you know? Like, yeah, and I was like, oh, yeah, but it's just how I feel now. It's just like my personality just flipped around and I'm a kid again.
You're now sober and we reconnected in the last year and I went to a gallery opening in Sydney. But then you went away not that long after.
Yeah.
How hard is it to stay on the street and not reoffend?
Oh, it's hard when you like when you have a record. like if you sneeze, they just want to lock you up, you know, especially like my record or whatever.
Do you think art can save you from getting locked up again for longer and more serious things? Is that really what
absolutely.
you believe is your...
Yeah. I told everyone as soon as I went in there, I said, I'm just an artist and a dad now. Like, yeah. Because everyone expected like me to be like how I used to be and stuff. I was like, nah, bro, I'm going home. Like, yeah. Like you could punch someone and be in for 10 more years. Like,
yeah.
I'm not risking that for no one. Yeah.
Since getting out, you've accrued quite a big TikTok following. And interestingly, your bio, off the back of what you said, former gangster, now proper dad and international artist.
Yeah.
You talk a lot about prison time and giving lessons to people on TikTok. Is that what you wanted to use it for?
I didn't at first. So I found Buddhism years ago, and so I feel like it's good karma if I can help people. My friend Russell, who passed away recently, he actually taught me that I did his podcast, and he taught me, oh, bro, your story can help people, you know, it can be heaps of motivational. Same as some people in the art world when they first met me and said, oh, my God, and I spoke and they said, you should tell people your story because you can help people that have been in a similar situation. So I was like, I didn't want people to know my past. I didn't want to be judged for it. But then I was like, if I can help people, I have to, you know, because I got a lot of bad karma from the past. Like I've got to fix that and do the right thing. So I started doing podcasts and started talking about it, and then went on TikTok and started talking about it. And at first I was like, I felt a bit uncomfortable. I felt very uncomfortable, actually. I kept thinking, oh, should I delete all this stuff? I don't want some kid to get the wrong idea, or someone that watches it get the wrong idea and think that that's cool and stuff, you know. But then I started getting messages of people saying, oh, you've just helped me quit drugs. I watch all your stuff. I love all your stuff. I've just quit drugs, or I've stopped doing crime, or, you know, and people ask me for advice. Like, what do I do? I'm like, get out of the area. Like, get away, bro. You got to run away from these people. You can't be around them and expect to live a completely different life. Like, you know, there's too many triggers in them areas, and it's just so great. Like, almost every day I'll get a message of somebody that I've helped now.
I guess it's a fine line between not glorifying crime and also giving people tips on how to get out of bad situations. Let's take a listen to one about prison.
Good morning, TikTokers. First time in jail. What to do, what not to do. What to do. Train, exercise, get your walking steps up. Don't fucking go in the first place. Don't do crime and you won't be going there. If it's guaranteed, like your charges or whatever, and you have to go there, and just behave yourself when you get in there. Try to get to a camp or anything as quick as possible. Try to work. Do what you can that's going to build healthy habits for when you get out. Don't gamble. Do not gamble. Do not use drugs. Doesn't matter how good you think you are or whatever. If you have a massive raging habit on the gear or something or whatever, then I suggest you get on the boob injection before you go in. I wouldn't recommend it, but that's like an absolute complete last resort, so you're not buying shit and that. If people realise you got money and you don't have connections in there, they're going to start coming for you to pay for their shit. So you don't want to start sending money either, because everyone's going to know you got money then. Don't borrow shit off shops. It's like 2 for 1 back, so you're just putting yourself in debt straight away. Never put yourself in debt, and be in the middle somewhere. You know, you don't want to be at the top taking people out and bashing everyone. Learn to fight before you go. Muay Thai basics, just get your basics down for Muay Thai. Jiu-Jitsu's okay, but a lot of people, if you go to the ground, they're going to stand you up.
You're saying learn to fight.
Yeah.
But is that not encouraging violence?
It sort of is, but it's a different world in there. Like if people will just bash you, no, like if you're a victim, they'll just keep making you a victim.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, it's not like the outside where you could run away and that. Like you're trapped there. You can't do anything. So it's better to be able to defend yourself. And if you defend yourself once, like it's better to fight once and defend yourself than get bashed 100 times, if you know what I mean. Sometimes I think, shit, is people going to get the wrong message or something? But you stand up for yourself once, or you fight 100 times, you know, or you get bashed 100 times. People will keep coming for you. As soon as they realise you're just going to back down, they're just, like, you're an easy target. And criminals love an easy target. Like, that's the main thing they love.
Audiences love true crime. They love to hear about crime. And so you must often get asked about shooting and stabbing. And here is a video in response to that.
What's it like to put holes in somebody? A few people ask me, you know, but maybe it's not the best. Maybe it's not the best idea. But anyway, yeah, it's happened a few times for me. Maybe I couldn't count it on 2 hands. Yeah, that was just to put the fear into the next person, I guess, but it's not the best. It's a very dangerous thing to do. You could hit the wrong wrong spot on anything. You could be doing a big one, you know, because there's always the intent there when you're going to put holes in people. Cutting, slashing your throat, fucking stabbing, shooting, fucking shooting at, like even shooting at from out the front, you know, like, yeah, not good ideas.
So listening to that makes me feel like quite uncomfortable that you say that you've put holes in people.
Yeah.
Stabbing or shooting?
Stabbing, yeah.
And you can't count on one hand, on two hands, how many times. What are you doing now to challenge that anger and that violence and those things that lead you to acting that way?
Oh, so yeah, I often see like I did neurofeedback, seen a psych. I moved away from everyone, like completely away from everyone. My art helps me a lot. My family, my children. It's hard, you know. Like it's always in the back of your head. But if I'm not in that life, it's just in that life. Like as a human, I've always thought like I think we just adapt to situations and places we're put and people we're around and stuff. So I just remove myself from them people. And even anyone that messaged me today that asked me about, oh, Paddy, can I ring you? I'm like, no, like I don't let people ring me because I still have this thing in my head. People like to ring you because they want to talk about crime. They don't want to write it in a message.
Right, okay.
So then I'm always like, nah, bro, I don't answer the phone. Like, yeah, and just get them to write it because I don't want any of that. And I tell them I'm a dad, I'm an artist, I have nothing to do with crime. Yeah.
What does success look like for you now?
Just happy, like I think. It's not about the money or anything. It's like just that my daughter has everything, that she's happy, that just being a good dad, I guess.
Staying out of trouble?
Oh, yeah, staying out of trouble, of course, that goes with being a good dad. But that's like my number one thing. Like, yeah, I just want to be a good dad. I want to be a good role model for her and, yeah.
Someone she's proud of.
Yeah.
And I guess this is your second chance at fatherhood.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard because my first daughter I didn't get to raise. So I always have that like, you know, so I'm very attached to my daughter now. And I guess that's why when I had that arguments with my ex, it was like so intensified, you know, because I wasn't going to lose another daughter.
And your first daughter was because you were in jail for most of her life?
Yeah, because I kept going to jail, yeah. So her mum took her away and, yeah. So it was hard, yeah.
So art, making art and being a dad.
Yeah. Yeah, being a dad first, yeah.
That's success.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the Weekend Briefing.
Thank you, Antoinette.
Nathan Paddison, a now very successful artist who spent 13 years behind bars. He says art and his daughter are keeping him away from violence and crime. And if you're a man wanting some support and advice, there is MensLine Australia. It offers professional 24/7 telephone counselling, supports men who have concerns about mental health, anger management, family violence, addiction, relationships, stress and well-being. That number is 1300 78 99 78. And if you or someone you know is experiencing family violence, you can call 1-800-RESPECT. That too is a 24-hour helpline. Okay, it's your favourite time of the weekend because it is the Weekend List with Helen Smith. That's where we give you pointers on what to do, what to eat, where to go, how to usually do it on the cheap. And Helen, you always have something to do with sneaky vegetables.
Yeah, so this week I'm adding some sneaky vegetables into another meal, which I think is my favourite thing I've cooked in a while.
Okay.
It's an easy veggie lasagna.
Okay.
All I did was grilled eggplant and zucchini. Then I just put together this lasagna with some fresh spinach that I wilted in the microwave and then some grated carrot, and I layered it, you know.
Yes, yes.
Blah, 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 the layers.
blah, 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 layer. Cheese? Did you put cheese?
Yes. So I mashed together basil and tomato sauce and lactose-free cottage cheese for the layers.
Yeah.
And then I put, because I'm lactose-free, sliced cheese on top as well and some chunks throughout to melt through. Oh. And it was great. And it honestly, I took photos and I showed everyone in the office and people.
It sounds fancy.
Yeah, it was fancy but cheap because half of it was from Aldi.
A veggie lasagna. Lactose-free.
Lactose-free.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm digging that.
Yeah, really easy, really good. And I got the pasta sheets, I think, from Coles for about I think they were either like $2 or $4, and it was just organic pasta sheets. And yeah.
Also, if you make a tray, because it has no meat in it, it lasts longer, right?
Lasts way longer. You can pack it for your work lunches. You can pack it in those warm thermos things for your kids if you're doing school lunches as well. They're really easy.
Nice one. Well, I have, speaking of kids, I have something that is a bit of a kid-like activity, but I'm really enjoying it, and it's adult colouring books.
Yes, I love this. I have one.
Because it just, I mean, I'm terrible. Like, I never stay within the lines. I probably need to get a colouring book for a 5-year-old because I don't have very good, like, attention to detail or hand-eye coordination. But just the act of stopping and colouring, and I take them with me even if I'm at a restaurant or whatever. I'm like an adult child, and I just pull one out and I colour in, and it just makes me focus.
It's mindfulness.
It is mindfulness.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend it. And you can get them for, I mean, there are some really fancy adult books that cost more, but they're really quite affordable. And if you want to be really tight, if you're near a local restaurant, you can be like, do you have some pencils, please? And they'll bring out the tub of like kids' pencils.
Yeah. Normalise adults having the colouring stuff too.
Yeah. I have no shame. Like, I used to do it with my kids, but now if I'm there by myself or with a friend, I want to colour.
Yeah.
And I'm finding it really strangely, I mean, it's not strange, but soothing. It's not strange because it's mindful. But yeah, so colour away, guys. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I got mine from Kmart, so they've got a range of good ones there.
Yep, super, super cheap.
So my next recommendation is from the podcast Sounds Like a Cult, and it's an episode of Tradwives. So the cult of Tradwives. Now, Tradwives is short for traditional wives, and it's kind of Tradwives has blown up over the past 6 months really on TikTok and YouTube of these kind of
influencer women who are like, sorry, I'm just going to jump in here because I watched one and she's like, my husband really loves dark chocolate caramel choc chip. So I got the cacao beans and for 6 days.
I made it from scratch.
Yeah. And for 6 days I smashed them against a rock, and then he comes in and he hugs her and kisses her, and then she's like, and like, by the end of the video, I was like, Sophia, whatever your name is, blink twice for help. Like, are you okay? Do you need rescuing?
Some of them are, when you really delve into it, and as this episode did, it is quite concerning. And a lot of it is based on deep religion. A lot of them are Mormon or Christian, and it is this kind of traditional gender roles. And one of these creators who's quite big, Esty Williams, she is a tradwife blogger, and she posted an explainer video on what is a tradwife and why she is. And she said, so it's a woman who chooses to live a more traditional life with ultra-traditional gender roles. And I'm just thinking, great if you want to do that, but there's a fine line between these bloggers, which they really dive into, of is this just having fun and cooking something if you really enjoy that, and wearing some of the dresses, they wear these beautiful, gorgeous dresses. The hair looks amazing. The makeup's gorgeous. But then there's the fine line of, okay, is this a bit of fun, or is this, on the back of Harrison Bucker's speech that he did at the university about
that NFL player.
Yeah, women being the homemaker, the most important role, and it's like, it's leaning into that vibe.
Yeah, is it really exercising choice? How much coercion and how much independent choice is there? Because I love to cook, and I'm the person who cooks and does a lot of gender stereotypical stuff in my household, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, whenever I've been in a relationship, I'm the same thing, and I love cooking. I love cooking for my friends and family. And
so I'm not poo-pooing that.
No.
Like, how do they draw the line between what is... That's fine. Feminism is about choice, and it's about, in an ideal world, you choose the sort of life and relationship you want to have. How does it then lean over into cult?
Yeah, so they kind of used a bunch of different examples. One of them who's blowing up is Nara Smith on TikTok, and she has this soothing voice, like it's almost like ASMR. And her content is just cooking and making stuff for her husband and her kids. But then there's other creators who then also push political agendas, which are generally aligned with Trump, are generally Some of them.
So it's like, and so you batter the cake pan like this,
Yeah.
and then you also are again, support Roe versus Wade
Yes.
being abolished.
Yes.
And then you put it in the oven for 35 minutes, and you don't believe trans people or black people should have rights.
Yes.
Crisp it on the top.
This is the line when they're trying to grapple. But they explain it in the podcast really well. So the cult of tradwives, it's in the podcast, sounds like a cult. I definitely recommend this because it breaks it all down.
That's super interesting, especially where you draw that line between a lifestyle and a cult. My recommendation is for Sydney-siders. Sorry, those interstate. I went and tried to have a look for something free for you to do in your respective cities, but nothing seems to be on the scale of Vivid Sydney. I know that after 5 p.m, when the sun goes down in winter and the temperature drops below 20, I become a hermit, and I usually just want to stay home. If I can be in my pajamas by 6, it is a win. It sounds like I'm turning 90 next year. But one thing that does get me out is Vivid Sydney. It gets me out, and it's free and it's beautiful, and you see, from 2-year-olds to 92-year-olds out enjoying the CBD. So if you can check out Vivid Sydney for those Sydney-siders, I think it's well worth it. And if you really want to, I saw some people cruising around in their Ugg boots. If you can't quite,
go cash, man.
Just do
no
it.
One cares.
Rug up, go cash.
Rug up, bring a blanket if you will.
Enjoy your city. And if you're not in Sydney, check out what you can do in the CBD or free things that are on offer, because there is only so much Netflix you can do for the next 3 months.
There is.
That is it for the weekend briefing. Thanks so much, Helen Smith. Do give us a rating and a review. Tell us what you think about this really special and unique journey that we just had with Nathan Paddison, the artist. You can also, if you're feeling super generous, go through, rate and review all episodes. We'll be back on Monday with the headlines in your headphones.
Listener.